So with stopping distances,
Junk.
tires larger than those recommended by the original manufacturer increase required brake pedal force and stopping distance. Again, as discussed earlier, they can also create excessive stresses on steering, suspension, braking components, leading to premature failure. And they may also make the vehicle no longer compliant with the braking, crash, fender, mud flap, bumper, and lighting standards. So, what is the tire that the OEM recommends? Well, federally, all new vehicles are required to have a tire placard. The placard can be found in the driver's side door jamb, the glove compartment, in the fuel door, but they're all on. In this example here, it illustrates the stock tire plus all optional tire sizes that are recommended by the manufacturer. I'd also like to bring to your attention the warning at the bottom. I mean, it's just something just to keep in mind during our discussions. To avoid serious injury or death from loss of vehicle control, replace tires with the same size, type, and speed rating as shown on the certification label. So again, it's not only load rating we're concerned about, but it's also, again, the diameter of the tire. The Rubber Manufacturers Association, again, is another association of all of the big tire manufacturers. And they've publicly said that from their perspective as the tire supplier, they recommend that only that people only install the same original tire size designation or approved options as recommended by the vehicle manufacturer, tire manufacturer. So give an example. There's an example in your mind here. This is like an F-350, single rear wheel F-350. Okay, traveling at 100 kilometers an hour, you're going to increase the tire size by 6 inches, maintaining the same brake pedal force. It would take 42 more feet to stop, longer to stop. Okay, this is illustrated or supported by other studies. One point I want to make here is, in the event that there's a hazard on the road, and you're driving up to this hazard, and deer jumps out in front of you, and you stomp on the brake. I mean, you're bending the steering wheel, and you got feet on it, and you're giving it. Okay. The same applies. Okay. What happens is when you increase the tire size, you've lost that buffer because there's no more brake pedal. You can't press any harder. You're giving it all you got. You put 6 inches larger tire on it, and you're most likely going to drive right into or through the hazard. There was an investigation of some statistical evidence as well. This was published in an SAE paper. It's a at-fault claim rate for aftermarket race vehicles, basically versus tire size. And what the results of the study, the conclusion, they indicated that there was an increased crash risk of between 14 to 77% with vehicles equipped with tires larger than recommended by the manufacturer. They noticed that over a cumulative tire diameter of 32 inches up to 34, the claim rate started to increase. Again, this is the at-fault claim rate, so the person driving the modified vehicle was the one who was considered at fault. Once you get over 34 inches up to 36 in the study, it rose exponentially, the at-fault claim rate. Again, one interesting thing about this study, one of the research questions that was asked was, is this an issue with the vehicles or the drivers? And one thing that they did was they actually used a regression tool and they separated the driver from the vehicle itself. And they found that the drivers of the vehicle, when they were driving non-modified vehicles, had exactly the same claim rates as the norm. So they could associate it with the modification of the vehicle. So one of the questions was, well, what would cause this? And that's where we come back to that vehicle dynamics, that chart. The chart with the driver in the center, and the modification of the systems. And again, it came back to the driver's ability to predict how the vehicle was going to react with these modifications done to it. Another item I'd like to discuss is vehicle compatibility and frame height. As a vehicle's ride height increases, so do its bumper and frame heights. In the event of a collision, structures within the vehicle's frame absorb the energy of the collision and reduce the severity of the collision and the forces felt by the occupants of the vehicle. Basically, the R's are like big shock absorbers. They're like springs. I've got an example over here. A lot of times you'll see convolutions, kickouts, accordions, cuts, holes in frames. They look like this, for example. This is out of a car. But again, these convolutions, kind of like cardboard, right? They're put into the frame. This is the left or right side. This one obviously got hit in this side of the vehicle, and you can see how it collapsed. The point of this is that the frame absorbs the energy of the collision and maintains the integrity of the occupant compartment. That way, we're not getting and it also reduces the accelerations of the accident. One point I'd like to make: we're not talking about bumpers. We're talking about frames. Bumpers exist in federal regulation for one reason. They exist for low-speed collisions. The purpose of a bumper is to ensure that a vehicle can safely drive away from a low-speed collision. If you look at the bumper standards, some of the items that they look in there, they're looking at basically ensuring that your headlamps, your steering alignment, and your engine still runs. In the event of a low-speed collision, you can drive off safely. In a high-speed collision, the frame is where the energy and the safety systems exist. Again, some of the items that we're talking about is loss of underride and override protection. For example, in this picture, you notice that the car has the opportunity to actually drive underneath the truck. The frame of the car isn't aligned and isn't contacting the frame of the truck. Without that contact, they don't have the opportunity to do their job, these energy management systems in the vehicle. Some examples of this, for example, on heavy trucks, so semi-trailer. All semi-trailers after 2005 is mandated that they have something called an underride guard. That underride guard acts the same as this. What it does is, basically, it's a structure on the back of the semi-trailer. In the event that a car collides with it, it's designed to actually collapse and give away and absorb the energy of the collision and prevent the vehicle from underriding the trailer. It's the same idea. Another item that comes to mind too is fuel system integrity. This is a federally regulated requirement. What it is in the event of a collision, it's to ensure that the vehicle doesn't start on fire. Same as the issue, for example, with the, what are those, Pintos, the exploding fuel tanks. In the event they were rear-ended, the actual vehicle actually started on fire. That's what this regulation exists for. When you raise the height of a motor vehicle, a truck, for example, and let's say you've got the rear tank option, for example, in this vehicle, you can expose the fuel system and tank to damage it was never designed to experience, and you can actually affect the vehicle's compliance with the federal regulations surrounding the integrity of the